First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark obviously where I wanna ventilate on my head. So I think if I can add in some hairs right here, that's gonna make a world of a difference. And then obviously right here as well. I honestly don't know how this happened. I mean, I bleached the knots on this. I took this to my hairdresser to have him do some root smudging. So it definitely has been processed. It can happen to the best of wigs, but I want to teach you girls how we can fix this ourselves. Probably asking, well, Krista, where are you going to get the hair from? I'm going to take it from the nape. And trust me, like this little of hair won't be missed. And I would do this in like patches if you need a lot of hair, but all I'm going to do, and I know probably I'm gonna get yelled at for this, but this is what I'm doing on this wig, is we'll cut right up near the wefts.
All right, ladies, this is your wig ventilating video. I know it sounds intimidating, but my goal here is by the end of this video, you will be comfortable enough to play around with ventilating a wig, even if it's just playing around with some Swiss lace that you bought on Amazon. So first things first, let's talk about what exactly is ventilating. For those of us that are very, very new to wig making and wig wearing, it's basically the art of hand tying individual hair strands into a wig cap to create that perfect, realistic hairline. Think of it as sort of embroidery, but with hair. So let's talk about the tools that you need. One, you're gonna need a ventilating needle. Think of this as your magic wand. There's different sizes that Amazon offers for ventilating needles, from 1 to 2 hairs to 2 to 3 to 3 to 4. Start with a size 1 or a size 2. That's gonna be your best friend. This is a close-up of the ventilating needle, and if you look really, really closely, you'll see that there is a little hook at the end of this needle, and that is what we use to pull the hair through the lace and make it catch. In terms of inserting the needle into the metal thing, you're basically just going to unscrew the metal thing a little bit and insert the needle and then screw it to the right to tighten it back up. That's all you have to do. You don't even have to take it fully off, and I keep the needle about this length. Then you're obviously going to need your hair. Now, I would start with synthetic dark hair. This is honestly going to be the easiest to be able to see the hair that you're pulling through and see the lace, especially if you're using thicker hair. I honestly was on an uphill battle here utilizing European blonde hair. The struggle was real. So I actually went back to like my lace and practice on my mannequin head with my synthetic dark hair till I got it right. Then you're obviously going to need your lace. Now, you can get samples of Swiss lace for very cheap on Amazon. I will link these in my bio under wig ventilating supplies. A couple of other things that will be very helpful is just some small scissors, some tweezers for grabbing stubborn hairs, and I think most importantly, good lighting and either a magnifying glass or magnifying glasses. You'll see the ones that I'm wearing here, they have a built-in light, but then I also did another selfie light, and I honestly could not do it without my magnifying glasses. Now let's talk about the process. You're going to want to have a little bit of hair in between your fingers, and it's all going to be at the same length. You want to hold your needle a little bit like a pencil, and you're going to insert the needle under a strand of the lace, and you're going to hook 1 to 2 hair strands with your needle. You're going to turn your needle to the side, think 90 degrees, with the hair and pull it through the strap of the lace. My suggestion is practice this part over and over and over again, because honestly, I struggled so bad during this first part and getting the hair through without getting it caught on the lace and getting it caught on the needle as well. I watched a ton of YouTube videos, and my tip is if you look really closely when you're pulling the needle through, that tiny little hook, you want to keep it away from the edge of the lace hole, if that makes sense. So the smooth part of the needle, you want to have it towards like the outside of the lace, so that tiny little needle that's on the end doesn't get caught. That's what was happening to me, and it took me forever to figure it out. So anyways, do that motion over and over and over again until you are comfortable with pulling that hook through, pulling the hair through, and not getting it caught in your lace hole. Now let's go into the next step. So once you pull the hair through, you're going to pull, I would say like maybe an inch of hair through the other side of the lace. Then you're going to take the needle and you're going to twist it around the lace so that the needle is facing downward. So the point of that needle should be facing down. And then you're going to take your needle and you're literally just going to pull it through that piece of hair that you just passed through the lace to basically make that knot. Now, again, sometimes I still haven't figured out why, because I'm not an expert, obviously, but I'm trying to share with you guys. The hair would get stuck and it wouldn't pull through for some reason. I do not know why. If anyone is an expert and you know what I'm doing wrong, please tell me. So anyways, that's essentially the process. So you can start in small sections and you're basically going to want to go in like a line or a row when you're practicing, just to keep all the hair out of the way and ensure that it doesn't get in each other's way. And then if you're trying to work on a hairline, I would say some steps are vary your hair direction, because if you think about it, real hairlines aren't uniform. Like some hairs go forward, some go to the sides. You can kind of change direction on how you're ventilating. And then also when you're doing hair along the hairline, I would stick to just one single piece of hair to pull through rather than doing two pieces of hair. And honestly, doing one piece of hair is a lot easier anyways. So these are a few of my tips and tricks for ventilating your wig if you need to repair it, or maybe you want to make your hairline look a little bit better. Things to keep in mind: this is going to be frustrating at first, and it is going to take some time to get the hang of it, but you will. Practice makes perfect, especially if you have all of the right tools. I want to know your thoughts on if this was helpful, informative, and if this seems practical enough. So feel free to drop a like or drop some comments and let me know what you think of this video. Happy ventilating, my ladies.
It's time for the results of the ventilation process. So this is the wig that I was ventilating over the weekend. I had a pretty big gap right here that I filled in with some blonde hair and actually kind of created some money pieces. Now, I am noticing that like the light blonde is creating a little bit of a shadow when I lift. So I might go back in and I might just add in like a couple of blonde pieces just to lighten it up, only because I'm not familiar with like highlighting, toning, coloring, any of that stuff. So I do not want to mess this up at all. But overall, for my first time ventilating a wig and repairing it, I'm pretty proud of myself.